Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NinjaTrader event, Day Trading using Heikin-Ashi. My name is Patrick, and I'm the NinjaTrader Ecosystem Vendor Relations Manager. Secondly, this webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is the technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Brokerage-related questions should be directed to the NinjaTrader brokerage using the phone number or email on screen. Lastly, if you're new to NinjaTrader, please make sure to sign up for a free NinjaTrader account, which includes access to 14 days of complimentary real-time market data. And our platform is always free for advanced charting, market analytics, and strategy backtesting, as well as trade simulation. You can create your free account by following the link on the screen and then clicking Get Started under the Welcome section. All right, so before I turn the mic over to our presenter here today, Dr. Keith Wade, it's important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading contain substantial risk, and it's not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Also, please remember that these training sessions are not a solicitation or a recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Thank you all for joining us here today. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over our NinjaTrader webinar room, welcoming Dr. Keith Wade.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Patrick. Welcome, everybody, and happy Thursday afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. Appreciate you taking the time today. So just a little bit about myself, and then I'll get into my slides, and then most of it's going to be the charts themselves. But I'm the CEO of Seasonal Trader Pro. Basically been trading since 2006. I was lucky enough to work on my PhD, working for university. That part of my responsibilities was to go ahead and do research and learn how to trade. So think about that as part of my responsibilities, my duties, how fun that has been over the years to be able to take time to trade, on the company's university's dime. So I live in North Carolina with my family, and now I'm just going to quickly change over to my slides here. So you should all be able to see mine now. It says day trading using Heikin-Ashi. And I guess my first question for all of you as we get started, how many of you have heard of Heikin-Ashi? Just type in a yes or no. Thanks, Gene. And type in a 7 if you currently are using it, whether you're day trading, swing trading. All right, so actually quite a few, so that's exciting. Excellent. Okay, and then my last question for now anyway, remember that's the professor side of me, right? is so currently, are you more of a swing trader or day trader? So you can just type in swing or day, just out of curiosity. Certainly, you can use Heikin-Ashi in any time frame. Today, I am going to focus on the day trading, obviously. But I've been using Heikin-Ashi for many years now. In fact, I just can't imagine using something else. Okay, I'm going to skip the risk. We went over that with Pat. So cosmetically, this is what it looks like. And just bring up the chat here in case there's questions. Okay, and so I'm going to explain this when I get to the live charts, but basically this is just showing you, grab a color that will look good on that screen. It should be like a red here. So like this happened to be a 3-minute on the S&P. And what you'll notice here is the cool thing about NinjaTrader, what's allowed me to do is program. Now I'm on a 3-minute chart, but in this case, I'm also looking at the backdrop behind the scenes what the 1-minute Heikin-Ashi is showing me and what the 5-minute. Okay, so what's kind of cool about it is if you're looking to be a conservative trader, you may want all 3 time frames to be in alignment in the direction of the color of my cloud here. Okay, this is a custom indicator. I call it a cloud because it looks like one, but it has nothing to do with like Ichimoku or anything like that. And so I like to go with the trend. Okay, and so we'll be going over that on live charts. So what I'm going to show you today is a few indicators that I use within my system, and then I'll have plenty of time I'm leaving for Q&A, because I know you always have questions on when you look at a system. Okay, so first things first, can you all see my NinjaTrader screen now? Might be a slight delay. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, it might have been just a slight delay there. Okay, so everyone can see it. Perfect. Some are saying no, that's odd, but maybe there's just a slight delay. Patrick, can you see my NinjaTrader slides or my NinjaTrader screen, the live chart?
I can see a slide called live charts.
Okay, so you're not seeing the actual NinjaTrader platform?
No, sir.
All right, let me go back and reshare that.
Looks good now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what you're seeing here, I'm going to explain this, and this is today's activity, right? I always just want to show the day that we're presenting because every day is different in day trading. So what I'm focused on today, because it's my favorite setup when I'm day trading, is the 3-minute chart. I mean, you can do tick charts, 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, right? I'm just showing you again today this is my favorite time frame. I do use others. Sometimes I'll just use a 5 minute, sometimes I use a 1 minute, but lately I've been really enjoying the 3-minute. And this is the S&P. And so what you'll notice is over here on the right, I have it set up to say, okay, I also want to know at the time of the current time frame, what is the 5 minute and the 15 minute from a Heikin-Ashi standpoint. Okay, so that way, as I'm trading, if I want to have all 3 time frames in alignment, I just see red with red with red, okay, and vice versa on the long side. Obviously, today was a good day on the short side of the market, okay. And then, so what you'll see is when you have all red here, those are the times where you had the 3-minute, in this case, the 5 minute and the 15 minute all in agreement. Okay, so it's also nice when you then go back and do some research and back test some of your moves. You can decide whether or not it's best to just wait until everything on all those 3 time frames are in agreement. What I typically do is I like to have all 3 in agreement, or as long as I'm in the direction of the cloud, if I would have had a 5-minute agreement and not quite the 15, because we all know that's a little bit slower, I'll usually take that as well. But when you have a market that's continuing in one direction, like today, it was a lot of fun to trade. Okay. And then what you'll see is, so these are Heikin-Ashi candles. So again, a lot of you that are familiar with them understand that. But one of the differences I have programmed, though, is I also have what actual price is done within that candle. So you see that little white line? That's the open of actual price, and then the red is close of actual price. So when I look at a Heikin-Ashi candle, I don't have to switch back to a regular price chart if I want to know where price actually closed or opened. It shows me right there, okay? Now, the premise, folks, is in general, when you have red Heikin-Ashis, you're bearish. So when you have red with a red background, that's a good time to look for short plays. And I'll just go forward here. When you start getting green, you can start looking for long plays. Okay, green with green. Okay, again, today was a very, very bearish day in the market, so we have a lot of red. Okay, a lot of red. Now you can see over here, it's called Laguerre RSI dot. Basically what this is the white line is an oscillator. And my favorite setups are when it goes all the way into the red and comes down through, right? That's a short opportunity, okay? Especially when it would agree here. So in this case, right, the Laguerre line's down, but we're green. So that's for me a no trade. Okay? And then vice versa. You know, if I'm looking for a long entry on the Laguerre line, okay, I'm looking for a green cloud. In this case, it was still red. So that's a no trade. And even though you can scalp those, you know, those reversals, that's not a big style I have, just because I prefer to wait and be patient, you know, for that setup that matches the overall trend direction. You know, you get retracements all the time in the market, then I don't like to counter trend that often at all. Okay. And here's a good example where the Laguerre didn't make it all the way up, but now it started turning over. You've got a red Heikin-Ashi dot, okay, which is again a bearish. So that's another good entry right there as well. So I'm just trying to set the stage here for you. Then I'll go over obviously more examples. So that as you kind of fast forward today, you can see here that when it's black in the background, that's basically saying that the time frames aren't all in agreement. Okay, so typically what I'll do is I'll stay out of the market then, unless in live time you have a 3-minute, you know, that's short, and then you get a 5-minute. Sometimes I'll get in there in that direction, but typically if they're not all three in alignment, you know, it's not my favorite setups. I'll go in half of my position, but when you have a black background, I like to stay out. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't make money, obviously, but it's not a perfect setup, so I don't like to take them. So in this case, it was black, probably because of the 15-minute was trying to catch up, and then so once here, as long as the 5-minute was in agreement with the 3, so as long as this would have been red here, that could have been a good short for me. Back in the direction of the overall trend is what I look for. Okay. And then the rules are pretty simple. When you get in, you have a red dot here. My exit point is typically going to be right here on the green dot, which will be the 2 green Heikin-Ashis. Okay. Some traders will get out on yellows. Okay. One of the questions you're all going to have, because it's a great question, is do I do trailing stops and so forth? And when I'm day trading, I do like to, like on the ES, you know, once I'm up 6 ticks, typically I'll break even. I'll put a break even and let it ride, you know, type of thing. NQ, a little bit bigger because the NQ is a lot more volatile. I like to go about 20 ticks and so forth. But now that's more of an individual decision. You know, what I'm trying to show you today is picking the direction and then managing it. Okay, so I'm not going to turn a S&P winner of 6 or 8 tick into a loser. I'd rather take a break even +1, for example, if it were to retrace on me. Okay. Okay, then the only other indicator I'm using here, well, there's 2 actually. There's divergence. Okay, this is super powerful. So if I'm short on this trade and I get a divergence line and then an arrow, okay, I'm out. I'm out of that short. Okay, it doesn't mean it's going to be a major reversal, right? I mean, it could be, but that's not. But basically, if you're not familiar with divergence, basically, you know, what it's basically showing you is you had a newer low in price, but not a newer low in relative strength. So you're probably going to get a retracement, which in this case was a 2 bar. Okay, and so as I'm watching and I'm trading, if I get divergence once it paints and then gives me that up arrow, I don't take it long in this example. I exit the short if I was short. Okay. You can see there was another one here, same thing. It came down, you know, here's a good re-entry, right? So once you're out of the trade, another good re-entry, right? When you have red dots again in the overall direction of the trend, you could put your stop at the top of the cloud and write it down, and then, you know, continue to stay in until you get that yellow or green dot. Okay, typically I'm a green dotter personally. Okay, or in this case we had divergence, then saying we're diverged, that's the exit point. Then the last indicator that I show on here is it's just a modified ADX. So those of you that are familiar with ADX, it's not a perfect indicator, but the way I've programmed it is it just shows me if it's in a trending market. Now, a lot of the time between 9:30 and noon, which is my favorite time to trade, okay, between 9:30 and noon, the ADX is trending a lot of the time, right? Because, that's normal activity and so forth. But there are times it doesn't, and it's good to know that. Sometimes before a major announcement, sometimes at lunchtime and so forth. But the way I look at it, I'm just going to back up to 9:30 here again. And the way I've programmed it, because I don't want to have to overthink stuff. Okay, I like things simple. I mean, obviously, the higher it's going, the more it's in a trending environment. Okay, but the only time I won't take a trade because of the ADX is if it's red. So even the orange here is fine. Okay, I'm okay to take a trade. Okay, it is telling me though that it's not super trending. Okay, but then if you look and you look and you look, okay, the only time it really turned red was at 121 here, type of thing. And then what I like to do is as soon as we had a Laguerre trigger short here, but it was against the background color, right? There was a black color. So once that 5-minute aligned, okay, I'm okay to take that as long as the ADX isn't red. Okay, if it is, once it starts getting smaller, then I enter. Okay, then I enter. But if it continues to get stronger, I'm staying out because more than likely you're consolidating. So we'll go over some more examples there, but I just wanted to show you that. Okay. Yeah, this real time. The arrows show up real time. Yeah. Okay. Once it paints and the new bar opens, it will never disappear, right? But during the time, it could show up, and then if during that candle it's still moving around, it can change. But then once it's done in the next candle, it won't ever go away. Okay. So the close today was kind of fun, and I don't usually trade personally past 4 o'clock, but when you take a look here, so all of a sudden today, this is again the S&P, we started getting all in agreement. Okay, I actually got in a little bit early only because the 5-minute was in agreement, and it's been such a bearish day. Right here where that Laguerre trigger, okay, that was a good setup, and then we turned red here, and so you just kind of trail it down, and then right here you got a green dot. Okay, so right here is my exit point. But the cool thing is I can then get right back in if it turns back to red. Okay. And then of course, when that paints, I'm out again, and I can keep doing that, right? I can keep riding that wave. I don't like to have my stops too wide. So I'll have my initial stop here, but then, I said, once I'm up with the S&P, once I'm up 6 ticks, I move the stop to break even. Okay. If it's really volatile, maybe 8 ticks, but I like to let it ride and keep going and so forth. Okay. And then you can see, once you got in towards the last half hour, you were getting some pretty sideways action there. Okay. So let me bring up the NASDAQ, because I know a lot of you trade the NASDAQ as well today. And again, so the way this works, if the markets were running, this changes, right, as the markets change. So when the 5-minute Heikin-Ashi in the background, if it were to change from red to green, for example, it'll do that. So when I get a trigger short, if all these other 2 time frames are in agreement, okay, that's my favorite, if especially I get a Laguerre. So in this case, let's assume the 5-minute and the 15 were red. The only thing that would have made this trade better is if the Laguerre line would have triggered right here. Okay, that would have been my perfect opportunity. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. Here it triggered early, right? And then once I start getting a red, then I go in. Okay, you can always jump the gun if you like the risk. Again, because that's what trading is really about. Day trading is risk. You're like, well, I'm only risking a few ticks, so that would have been a really good entry. Think about it. If you enter it here, the exit point is right here, folks. Okay, that's where I think this is a superior system, because most traders won't do that. Okay, or you exit at the divergence right at the open, you're out right here. Okay, but then you get right back in. So many of you will just grab 8 or 10 ticks and get out, and then you might have like a 5 tick stop loss. And so as long as you win 50% of your trades, you'll make profits, right? And that, but what I try to do is maximize some of these wins. The market will give them to you at times, and that's where I feel that I've been successful at it. Okay, and so if you just continue today, you can see again where you have some consolidation, but it's also black in the background. Okay, so I'm just skipping this. There's many times in the market that you're not trading, or you can look at other instruments. I personally like to trade the ES, the NQ, gold, and crude from the future standpoint. Okay, obviously trade Apple and other stuff as well. So here's an example where when you got in at 130, you had a change here, and I just know this because I took the trade. The 5-minute was in alignment, just not the 15 yet. Okay, but I had a recent trigger back here on the Laguerre, and we've been in that dominant downtrend today. So if it doesn't work out, you just put your stop there, you get stopped out. Who cares? That's again, that is part of learning how to trade. And those of you that have been trading for a long time understand that. Let me bring up gold just to kind of show you something a little bit different. And those of you, if you've never day traded gold, at times it's boring, at times it's ridiculous. So you just got to be careful. I actually start day trading gold at 8 in the morning. And today it was, kind of uneventful here. And then when you have a cloud that's super skinny, like a belt, okay, I don't like to trade. Unless it was in a major trend and it's just retracing. When it's sideways like that, I don't like to trade. Okay, and in this case, the ADX was catching it, but it won't always catch it. Okay, and so in this case, I didn't initially look to take this because it had to prove its wideness for me. Okay, and then once right here, we went back to red. Okay, I wanted to take this, and I didn't because of the ADX being red. Okay, I thought maybe it was just going to consolidate again. Okay, and so gold today was pretty uneventful. It did pick up a little bit, but right here, as I started seeing the ADX picking up, this is a good trade right here. Okay, this is what we look for. This had at the time, it had the 5-minute and the 15-minute in agreement with the 3. And by the way, with my system, like this is, you can change that. If you wanted to do a 1-minute chart and you wanted the 3 and the 5 in agreement, okay, it's just, you just edit it. Okay. But, following that trend, I like visuals. That's why I have lots of colors. I just want to say, okay, I'm only looking for shorts. Yeah, I'm only looking for shorts. I'm only looking for shorts. It also reminds you, why you actually, why would you want to look for a long play right now, right? I mean, the market's telling you that it's a bearish situation. Then we had a little bit of retracement towards the end of the day here, going into 315. So what I look for there is once it starts getting wider, again, I wouldn't take it initially here. There's no reason to think you're reversing until it happens. Okay, but once you get that pullback, okay, you can look for something to come back and touch the bottom of the cloud. Never happened. Okay, so it actually made a nice little rebound here. I didn't take this too late in the day for me anyway for gold. Okay. Yes, Mandeep, if you're using tick charts, again, you're using a smaller time frame on the upper levels, right? Because to me, I don't think a tick chart would be like, if you're doing a 233 tick chart, probably not all that useful to have a 5 and a 15, right? And again, you can do the same thing as a swing trader. You could have a 4-hour chart and you want the daily and the weekly in alignment. Okay, so It's just very useful. You don't really see this because, even if you use Heikin-Ashi, it's just gaining more and more momentum now. You don't see a lot of multi-time frame with it. Okay. And so once I had it programmed, and I do a lot of testing, right? So I programmed it not to at the time, I didn't know if it would be useful. Okay. It seems logical, but you don't really know until you test it out. And so it ended up saying, yeah, when you have all three time frames in agreement, it's really nice. And what it helps me do, because I don't know about you, but where I really have struggled in the past is during consolidation, right? So when it's dark, I'm not taking at least if all three, so if again the 3 and the 5 then turns red, I can look to take it, especially during a strong trend. But if the 5 and the 15 are mixed, and then the 3-minute doesn't agree with the 5, I'm not taking it. Okay. And that consolidation, right? Because you can get nice moves, but one of the hardest part about trading can be staying out of it, right? Staying out of the market. Okay. Aaron, I'm not familiar with Ninja Indicator, so I don't know how to answer that. Okay. I'm just looking at questions here. Yeah, so if I go back to the S&P, and we can go back here. Somebody was asking like around 3 o'clock in the morning, which obviously for like European session, yeah, absolutely. I also like to trade Forex. So, but so here you've got green in the background. Okay, the Ligera already had triggered, but you had green and green, right? So yes, you can enter there. Now, one thing about Heikin-Ashi, a lot of you may not even know, even if you use it. When you have these flat bottoms, no wick bottoms for a long side, that's super powerful. Okay, that's super powerful. So absolutely, that's a great entry. Just from the standpoint of if I'm getting in here after that flat bottom, this is also where I'm putting my stop loss. Okay. And so I have a relatively tight stop in this case because of that flat bottom. And then what you can also do is then trail it. Every new bar that opens up that's flat, move your stop up. Okay. And then so obviously if you kept doing it, then you're out right here. Okay. But yeah, European session is nice. I'm just not, I mean, I'm up early. I'm actually up by 5, but I don't trade it a lot because I'm not up other than those of you that live there. Okay. Yeah. So the red arrow, what this is showing you, this was potential divergence. So because you don't see the line here, it didn't quite meet the criteria, but it's just cautioning you. Okay. So if I was still in this trade and I didn't get the line as well, then I could still stay in it. A lot of times though, when I see any sort of arrow, especially after a nice little move, then I exit. Just like this. Okay. It does a good job, divergence, picking tops and bottoms there. I don't really like to counter trend it, but I like to exit it with that. Okay. Great questions. Yeah. So what I do is one question, which again is a fantastic question. What does a losing trade look like? So, let's say you were to take, it turns all red here. You take the short right here. Okay. I'm putting my stop right at the top of that cloud or the swing point. In this case, that makes the most sense. So if you're not okay with X amount of ticks, then don't take the trade. Others will just put a fixed amount. I'm going short, but let's say on the ES, you only want to have an 8-tick stop. Okay. Again, whatever you want, just make sure you have an immediate stop. Okay. Because as you know, the markets can turn around quickly and you don't want to turn that into a trade that you're digging out of a hole now the rest of the day. Okay. Okay, so let me just bring up my slides again. Thank you for all those questions. So my rules are pretty simple. I kind of went through those. But again, this works on any time frames. So I'm going to offer this package to you today, and it comes with everything I showed you. Divergence. Okay, we didn't have time really to talk about the gap, but what it does is it shows you the open. At the open at 9:30 on the ES and the NQ, it'll show you the open price. And it'll show you where it closed the previous. And there's a high likelihood, like today, it covered its gap. Okay, so, and then the cloud, again, basically what that is, folks, it's just my proprietary information. It's definitely got some moving averages in it, but it helps me pick direction. Okay, I only go in the direction of that cloud. You've got the Heikin-Ashi with the dot, okay, the Laguerre, the ADX, and the high low, which I didn't talk about. If you look at the chart here, what you'll see, let me bring up the NQ just based on the price. When you get to your weekly high or low, okay, you'll see a line, and it can be very useful because it's support and resistance. Okay, so the high low line is something I like to look at, and once, especially if you start getting divergence and you get to the low of the week, you know that you're probably going to get some buying and selling at the same time, and you'll want to get out of that trade. Okay. So what I'm offering right now is a couple things. Typically it's $24.99. I'm giving it today for $9.99, and that's for a 1-year license. But this is my first NinjaTrader webinar. So in saying that, I'm actually changing that. That's going to be a 2-year license. Okay. So you get 2 years for $9.99 that covers everything I just showed you. Okay. And I will copy that for you and put that in the chat if you're interested. And I'm opening it to any questions. So what questions do y'all have for me? And here's the cool thing, by the way. Monday, next Monday, August 21st at 2 p.m., I'm going to have a dedicated training to it. Okay. So anybody that purchases this, we're going to have a Zoom session, and I'm going to record it, obviously, for those that can attend, that purchase it. And we're going to go over much more detail. Okay, much more detail. Just one point, the website does say 1 year, but for those today, it will be a 2-year subscription.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks again, everyone, for taking the time to join us. Thank you again, Keith. Much appreciated. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope you'll join us again for future webinars. You can follow us on social media once again on both Twitter and Facebook, and I'm including all the links I included before. Yeah, so follow us on social media for alerts about upcoming events and other NinjaTrader ecosystem news. We'd like to remind everyone that the information provided here today was that of Seasonal Trader Pro and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you in future webinars. Happy trading from all of us here at NinjaTrader Ecosystem.